Hi students, we are moving on to our second lesson in percentage. So yesterday we have actually learned about converting percentage into decimal and fraction. So today is the vice versa method whereby we are learning to convert fractions and decimal into percentage. Quite easy lesson. Okay. So let's say we need to convert 1/10 into percentage. So what do you need to do? Okay, by just presenting 1/10 times 100% over 1. So it's just like a percent, or it's just a fraction times a fraction. We have learned this concept before. So both of these numbers are divisible by 10. So that's how we actually get this when we simplify. Okay, both numbers divide by 10. So the result is actually 10%. 1 times 10% is 10%. 1 times 1 is 1. That's why the denominator is still 1. Okay. Moving on to 5/8. So 5/8. So same things. Present 5/8 times 100%. So you can simplify 108. Both numbers can be divided by 4. So that's how you get 25. 100 divided by 4, you get 25. You divide by 4, you get 2. So 5 times 25, you get 125. And 2 times 1 is 2. So you get 125% over 2. When you simplify further, you get 62.5%. Some of you may present it as 62.5%, which is also acceptable. 1/7. Well, 1/7 is a very interesting fraction, okay? So let's see what will happen. Okay, 1/7 times 100%. Okay, so 1 times 100, you get 100%. So 7 times 1 is 7. 100 divided by 7. So we've got to use short division or long division to find the answer. So 10 divided by 7, you get 1. Remainder 3. That's how I get 30. So 30 divided by 7, you actually get 4. And with remainder 2. So to present it in the mixed number form, so you have 14, 2 over 7, 2 getting from the remainder and 7 being the divisor. So that's how you get 14 to 7%. Got it? So what about from decimal into percentage? Oh, I think it's quite straightforward, isn't it? So what you need to do is 0.38. Then you have the fraction times 100%. That's the reason why we move the decimal place 2 times to the right. That's how you get 38%. So what about 0.275? Same thing. Okay, you have the decimal times 100%. You move the decimal to the right 2 times. That's how I get 27.5%. What about 4.2? Okay, still the same method. So 4.2 times 100%, you move the decimal place to the right twice. So that's how you get 420%. I've taken this question from one of the work examples. So we have 8 out of 22 houses in one street get newspaper delivered. What percentage get newspaper delivered? So it's simply 8 out of 22 times 100%. So again, 122 both can be divisible by 2. So that's I get 50 and 11. So you can't simplify further. So numerator times numerator, that's how I get 400. And then 11 times 1, you get 11. So it's 400% over 11. So again, you've got to use division. So 400 divided by 11, there are 3 of them. So 40 divided by 11, there are 3 of them. And that's a remainder of 7. So that's how you get 70. 70 divided by 11, that's how you get 6. And you get a remainder of 4. So to present it, you will get 36%, 4 over 11. You get a 4 from the remainder and 11 from the divisor. Got it so far? Well done. Okay, we're moving on to another concept. Find percentage of an amount. It is important in real life. You have to make use of this concept very often. When you visit Kohl's or Woolies, very often there are discount like 20%, 30% discount given to an item. So you need to know how much discount is given to the item, how much money do you need to pay for it. Okay, so let's say we want to find 40% of 135. So 40% converted into fraction is 40 over 100 times 135. Again, you can simplify the numbers by dividing them. So both of them divide by 5. 135 divided by 5, you get 27. 100 divided by 5, you get 20. And then for that, from here, you can still simplify further with 40 and 20. Both numbers can be divided by 20, isn't it? So that's how I get 2 for 40 and 20. You just left with 1. So from here, 2 times 27, you get 54 as the answer. One very common mistake, students misuse the percentage sign. They put 54%, which is wrong. Remember, we are looking at percentage of an amount. So the result will be a number and amount, not percentage. Just be very careful with this. Okay, 26% of 75. So same thing, 26 out of 100 times 75. So 175 both can be divided by 25. So you get 3 for 75 and then 4 for 100. And you can simplify further with 4 and 26. That's how you can divide by 2. That's how you get 13 and 2. So multiply the numerator with numerator. You get 39 over 2, which is 19 and a half. Again, reminder, no percentage. Okay, remember it's an amount that we are looking for. So I believe I've taken this question from your textbook too. So we are required to find 18%. So they say from the survey of 250 students, 18% were from year 7. So how many of them were from year 7? Okay, so it's just 18% of 250. So 250 and 100 both can be divided by 50, right? So that's how you get 5 and 2. Then from there, 18 and 2, you can simplify further to get 9 and 1. So 9 times 5 is 45. So it's 45 of the students who took part in the survey were from year 7. Okay, moving on. So we can also find percentage of an amount using the decimal concept. So we know that 20% of 50. So we know that 20% is actually 0.2, isn't it? So 0.2 times 50 is simply 10. So that's one way you can also work around rather than using the simplifying method. But ultimately, it's your preference to see which one you are more convenient or more confident. Okay, both methods are acceptable. So moving on again using the decimal method. So 34% is actually 0.34 times 1 times 15. So again using multiplication, 4 times 5 is 20. Bring over 2. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. Bring 1 over. Okay, so that's how I get the 1 there. So again, moving on to the tens, I put a 0. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. 0 times 1 is 0. So nothing else. So you just need to add it up. So now the problem is, where do we put the decimal? So I've touched on this before, but let me go through again. So in order to determine how many decimal places to move back, you've got to find the number of digits that are behind the decimal place. So there are 2 digits presented here that are behind the decimal point. So therefore, we move 2 decimal places forward. Okay, that's how you get 5.1 as the answer. Got it, everyone? Let's move on to the next one. What about 4.3% of 112? Unfortunately, we can't put 4.3 over 100. I've told you before, a fraction must always be a whole number. So I could actually convert 4.3% to 43 over 1,000 times 112 over 1. So it simply means 0.043 times 112. So again, using multiplication method. So 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. So moving on to the tens place, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3 times 1 is 3. I think I make an error here. So it's 3 times 4. That's right. 4 times 1 is 4. Yeah, that's right. And then from here, moving on to the hundreds. So 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. So I add up the numbers, which is 6, 11, 8, and 4. So now we've got to decide how many decimal places we need to move to the left, isn't it? So going back to the same concept that I touched on just now, there are 3 digits that are behind the decimal place. Therefore, I need to move 3 places to the left. That's how I get 4.816 as the answer. Okay, that's all for today's lesson. I hope you have enjoyed it. It's not a difficult concept. Do go through all the required questions in your textbook. Feel free to drop me a note on direct message. Okay, hope to see you soon. Bye bye.